Okay, before we begin writing piecewise functions again, I want to take some time to practice writing equations of lines. And now that we've had some experience with it, now see if we can be a little smarter and do it a little better and faster. This first one, now they want all these equations to be in y equals mx plus b form. So we need the slope and the y-intercept. So on this one, they give you the slope and they give you the y-intercept. That means you don't need any work. You can put it straight into that equation. So you can say y equals 3/4 x minus 5. Done. Okay, if you're fancy, you can write f of x. All right, now let's try this again. This one, though, on number 2, they don't give you the y-intercept. So this is when we're going to have to put it into point-slope form. So in point-slope form, we'd have y minus y1, which is 4, equals our slope, 2/3, times x minus x1, which is negative 6. Minus a negative is plus a positive. So now we're going to distribute. So I get y minus 4 equals 2/3 x. 2/3 is positive and so is 6. So when we multiply, we're going to get a positive. And now we can use our shortcut. We're going to take the 6 that's over here, divide it by the 3 in the bottom. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. Multiply by the 2 on the top, and we get 4. Add 4 to both sides, and my equation is y, or we can write it fancy and write f of x equals 2/3 x plus 8. Y and f of x are the same thing. Okay, let's try this again. On this one, we can do y minus 9 equals our slope, negative 5/2, times x minus x1, which is negative 10. Minus a negative is plus a positive. So we have y minus 9, and now we're going to distribute, equals negative 5/2. A negative times a positive is a negative. Use our trick. We have the 10 divided by the 2 on the bottom is 5. 5 times the 5 on the top is 25. Add 9 to both sides. So I get y, or f of x, equals negative 5/2 x minus 16. Okay, let's try what happens on number 4. I'm not worried about the domain right now because people aren't struggling with that. I want to write the equation. So we need it in slope-intercept form. On this one, look right here. You know the y-intercept. You do not need to do a bunch of work because you know the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 4. Now if we could find the slope, we'd be in business. Okay? So for the slope, okay, this is not perfect, but if we're not sure, we can always count it out. Okay? So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and over 1, 2, 3. So it's 9 over 3, which is just 3. So my slope is 3. So when I write my equation, y equals mx plus b, it's y equals 3x plus 4, because I know that y-intercept. I do not have to work harder. Now, on number 5, when we did this in class, we did work harder because the y-intercept isn't given. But because we have a graph, we can actually find it. So let's talk about this. We know what the slope is, right? The slope is 1 over 2. So if we keep going with the slope of 1 over 2, wouldn't this line have to intersect right here? So wouldn't this be my y-intercept? So my slope, we just said, was 1 over 2. My y-intercept, we just figured out, was 6. So we can skip the hard work and just say y equals 1/2 x plus 6. Okay, let's try this again on number 6. On number 6, okay, we can figure out the slope. The slope is down 2 and right 1, 2, 3. So the slope is 2/3. Okay, that's fine. I wasn't given the y-intercept, but I kind of see where it's going to go. Let's check. Let's go up 2 and left 3. Oh, using my slope, it's got to go right there. So my y-intercept has to, that's a funky way to write it. Let's try it again. My y-intercept has to be 3. So when I write my equation, I've got y equals my slope, which is 2/3 x, plus my y-intercept was 3, and there's my equation. Okay. Now, on this last one, could you do it over here and maybe figure it out? Probably, but it's going to be a little tricky when it's this far off the graph. This is a really good example of when we have to do it the hard way, but it's not really hard, it's just a tiny bit more work. So this is a good example where we're going to need the point and the slope and plug it into our equation like we were doing last time. I made you do that last time because I wanted you to practice that skill, so when you did have to do it, it would go faster and easier. So my point is negative 7, 8. And again, you can use any point on the lines. If you liked another one better, you could do that. Okay. When I was doing my slope, it's just 1 over 1, which is just 1. So in point slope form, y minus y1, which is 8, times my slope, which is 1, times x minus x1, which is negative 7. So when I distribute, multiplying by 1, I just get x plus 7, add 8, so I get y equals x plus 15. So we probably could have notched it out and figured it out, but sometimes it's confusing and we don't know. So this is our backup plan when we can't read it. But now that we've practiced it a lot, if you have to use your backup plan, it won't be that hard.